Hello, welcome to a change of pace for Tuesday nights. I'm joined by Jeff. How do I pronounce your last name, Jeff?
Heising.
Heising,
Heising, yep.
the author of this book in the middle here. Leather blood. Hey, Adam just resubscribed. Thanks, Adam. Leather, Steel, Blood, and Bone, a supplement for Zweihander RPG. He is the author and developer of it, and it is what an Electrum seller now on Drive Through
Yes, it
RPG.
is. Yes, Electrum.
Electrum,
Which is, I think,
congratulations!
it's up to, which is 251, and we're, I think, just slightly above that. It's into the 260s right now.
Awesome. I just dropped the link in the chat, so if people haven't bought it yet, check it out. We're going to do a deep dive. We're going to go into it, and we're going to go over exactly what it is, how it works, how it can add more grittier, grimier, detailed combat to your game, but without adding complexity. Because there's a misconception, and I said, Jeff, let's get you on here. This is a great book. It's a great supplement, and let's nip those in the bud and show people how easy it is to use this supplement. So let's dive in. Congratulations
Awesome.
on this, by the way, because it's huge. I know that there was talk of other streams using it, and I'm gonna have to start using it here on my games soon. Um, but yeah, why don't you go ahead and let people know how this came to fruition? What made you say one day
That's,
I'm gonna write a supplement for
you know,
Zweihander to make
yeah,
combat grittier?
yeah. That's a good question. Um, well, it really started. I picked up this game. We were looking, my group, which was basically my boys and myself, we're looking for another game to play. We're bouncing around different games, and then came across Zweihander, actually from the Strike to Stun old site, and took a look at it, picked it, loved all the details, all the options, just the way it was wrote, everything about it, and so got the book, and we started playing, and uh, we had played a bunch of different games, D&D and Warhammer and all this, and we get into the combat, which is, anyone who knows me knows that's why I'm here, is for the combat. Uh, and we came up to injuries, which I absolutely loved how they done the injuries, different levels, detailed. Thought it was great. Um, but the combat was, I think, complex enough to be very realistic and very dynamic, that didn't matter if you played it on a grid or a theater of the mind, or if you're streaming it, or if you're at home, the GM and the players can really picture and get into the combat.
Right.
So, so we're starting to do injuries, and it just, I don't know, it just, something came up that it was like, this would be, and they even, it's optional, and there's a couple paragraphs of it in the optional combat rules of piecemeal armor.
Hmm.
And the thought was just, how great would it be if you can even add that extra layer onto the narrative, onto the details, onto the, I'll say, realistic, way that they do combat.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I just started toying with it and playing with it, and, looking at it, and it really just came from there. I mean, at first it seemed like, oh boy, there's a lot to this, because if you, it depended how you want to do it, because like right now, if you look in the book, and actually I had to go back and just check this today, because it's been a while since I was looking at all these numbers. In the main book, there's 36 injuries in the book,
Hmm.
12 each of moderate, serious, and grievous. Well, this supplement, there's 288 injuries. So, that's the level that, it can go to. And
Well,
that was my reasoning behind it, was, um, just really more of a dramatic. Some people who've read enough and played enough and seen enough movies, it's really easy for them. If you play for 20, 30 years, you can picture it in your head. But new players, some of my boys were like, okay, well, how does this actually work? What are we doing? Okay, so where do I hit them? So what's going on? Well, with this, I think it really answers that very well, that people can really see, picture, imagine, get into the feel of how that combat is going. So I mean that's really the basis of why I decided to go ahead and write this.
Awesome, and I'm glad
Yeah,
you did. A lot of people are glad you did.
I think so. I hope so.
The numbers speak for themselves. Well,
Yeah,
I'd say.
yeah, yeah,
All right. Well, you ready to jump into this and show people how
yeah,
it works?
yeah. I think so.
It's
Let's
under
do
the
it.
engine. There's our credits. Jeff is the writer developer. Adam Rose of Grim Perilous Studios was involved for consulting. Ken Duquet did all of the gorgeous art, and I don't know how to say the last gentleman's name. Marius
Yeah, let
Malenko
me.
Malensky.
Yeah, Mariusz Melanowski, I
Oh, thank
think.
you
Melanowski.
for
Um,
little extra
yeah.
touches.
Anyone on the Zweihander Discord would know him as Baller.
He's a baller.
He actually has wrote some pieces for Zweihander himself.
That's right. All right, so let's dive into this. I don't know if you can see if you're watching the stream to see what I've got going on. If you are, there's a delay, but I'm on the first page. You can follow
Yep.
along here with me. We can skip the introduction. I think you basically just did the
Yeah.
introduction for everybody there. But let's look at quality changes. This is the first thing where people are going to look and go, oh, new stuff. No, I'm
Right.
out. Changes to quality. I like playing the game how it is.
Right. Well, it, and that's the reason that, and not to go into a long story, but I started writing this, and Marius, he was the one that we were kind of talking at first, and he kept pointing out, hey, you need to stick to the rules, don't change too much. People won't want that, and the more and more that I worked on it, it was like, okay, that makes sense, and that's why I reached out to Adam Rhodes, which is the rules developer for Zweihander, Main Gauche, and said, hey, uh, this is unofficial, but I want this to be as official as possible without being official.
Right.
So we get into um, the qualities, and the big thing here is to break it down real simple in a nutshell is if you're wearing heavy armor, um, it has the heavy quality, and what that means is Zweihander is it negatively affects spellcasting. Probably can't do spellcasting, depending on the GM, and it takes away your coordination, which is for dodging.
Right.
So, we came up. It started to get. I like real crunchy things, and I love math, and sometimes that doesn't go very well with rules because people don't like all that. So what it really boiled down into a nutshell is in the rules, if you wear one piece of heavy armor, if you put the helmet on, and the rest of you are no armor at all, leather, whatever it is, you have the heavy quality.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, let's make this a little more what I would say realistic. And really what we came down to in this, just a couple of rules on there, that you could wear two pieces of armor that are heavy. And as long as nothing else is heavy, you don't have the heavy quality. Once you go to that third piece, now you've taken on that heavy quality.
Right.
Each arm is a separate piece, each leg is a separate piece.
It's more
So
realistic.
right.
It
So
really is.
if I'm in mail and I have a breastplate on, I'm not heavy. In the next thing that we're going to talk about is someone will say, well, wait a second. So, what are you then? Well, we do encumbrance. So encumbrance is going to take all of that into effect.
Yeah. I
But
like
as
that
far as the
section.
heavy quality for being able to help you dodge, um, that's truly dependent on what armor you wear, and that's kind of something I wanted to hit off the bat too, because I've had people ask me, well, what's the whole point of any of this? Why would you wear different armor? And I think there's a lot of reasons. Is chances are if you're a frontline fighter, you want as much armor as you can. And in the game of Zweihander, money does not come very easy.
Not when I'm your
And
GM.
well, a lot of it, even just how the game is, it's not a Monty Hall type game. So a lot of times, you're going to start off with something weak, and if you scrape together some money, well, maybe you can buy yourself a better helmet, maybe you can buy yourself a better breastplate. but you can't afford the whole thing. So
Mm-hmm.
there might be times where you
That's
can just buy armor by piece. In the
and
way,
Jeff's taking
go
care
ahead.
of that in here. He's broken it out by cost, by piece, by armor. It's in here.
Yeah.
So if you're a person who likes tables, this supplement's for you. Like
Oh,
even just for like
yeah.
the injury tables at the back of this book, based off of the type of weapon that you're using, like blade and blunt and crushing and all that. Those tables
Right.
alone are worth the price of this supplement. But he's got all this other stuff worked in there as well. And I think he said this at the top of the show as well, or it was just us talking beforehand. Everything in here is also optional. So if you don't want to add this qualities change to your game, you don't have to. If you just
Right.
want to use the tables at the back, you can. If you just want to use prices for individual pieces of armor based off of heavy, light, medium, and all that, you can. Like you don't have to use the whole package in your game to get it to work. It's a very slick design.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that's really the basis as far as that as the qualities go. Is,
Mm-hmm.
there's reasons that you might just, it might be for monetary reasons. It might be you find a piece of armor. Let's say you find a mithril breastplate. Well, that's all you find. Well, yeah, of course you're going to wear it. So there
Yeah.
might be times that you find pieces of armor, and chances, and maybe uh, you might even be lucky enough to find something that has, rune magic on it. You have a helmet with a rune on it. So, I mean, there's different reasons that you might wear different pieces of armor. Just even besides the cool factor of how you want to look. There's some of
Well,
the professions that are,
that's the write up for that little gladiator example is one of my favorite things in here to give you that
yeah,
visual of having a pair. We'll look at it when we get there, pairing
yeah,
the different pieces of
yeah,
armor. But yeah, all right. So next up is the encumbrance, and this just adds like Jeff says, you can then go to encumbrance by having different pieces of armor and how that affects the overall weight of your gear. He's
yeah.
broken up by type, where it sits on your body, head, left arm,
Right.
right arm, body,
It,
left leg, right leg, and how much it weighs.
yeah, and I only want to do just a real quick thing on this because
Sure.
I've had someone ask me, boy, that table, there's a lot of numbers there. There's a lot of numbers there, but the thing that anyone needs to keep in mind, all you have to do is, what am I wearing? So you go through there, I'm wearing this on my head, this on my chest, these on my arms, this on my legs. Add those numbers up.
Yeah,
Take the
it's that simple.
tens number, that's your new encumbrance. Um, so it gives you a better chance, because encumbrance, can slow you down. You can get overage on encumbrance.
Yes.
So again, the old rules say if you wear a breastplate, oh, you're wearing heavy armor, it's a 7 encumbrance.
Hmm.
Well, yeah, but what if you're only wearing breastplate and chain or something else? You might have a 5 or a 6 now. So it's just a more realistic way, or a little more detailed way, I should say,
Yeah.
of doing the encumbrance. So it's less penalties on you, on your
Right.
character. It's really all that
Yeah,
is,
it's to the player's benefit, to be perfectly
for sure.
honest. It was abstract before,
Yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with the way it works now. But now
No.
doing it this way, like you said, level of realism, and it also helps the players mix and match. And
Right.
it's cool. Like you think of adventurers, and especially in a game like Zweihander, where you're fighting up from the bottom. You're
Right.
you're a nothing, and you're fighting your way up. You're gonna find and scrounge whatever little pieces of armor you can find along the way and stick them together. And it's gonna be this like ragtag suit
Right.
that you've put together. It doesn't match. It doesn't fit. It doesn't look good.
Right. Zweihander.
Exactly. Zweihander.
Yeah.
Zweihander nutshell. So here's this example that I liked. So Draxon Varkona, a pit fighter, is getting ready for his next duel in the Tratus arena. He first puts on his male. I'm terrible with these names. Hobergion.
Yeah.
Halbergian. You
Yeah.
know, Jeff, if you could say it, be my guest.
Well, no, I mean, these all these names are out of the book, so I wasn't
Gotcha.
going. Yeah, I wasn't going crazy on this.
But
These are actual real names of real armor. There was a lot of real digging into history on the game designer's
right.
part to making this realistic.
So they're putting mail on their body, mail chain mail.
Yep.
Then they're putting on leather armor on both their legs for like mobility because they're a gladiator in the arena.
That's right.
On their right arm, they're putting on a full plate spalder, which is damn cool. And on their left, they're gonna have a shield. So then you take that table that Jeff had above, add all the numbers depending on where the armor's sitting on the body, and that'll give you your weight or encumbrance value there. And then all you got to do is like you got to add all those up to 42.5. All you need is the tens digit. So at the end of the day, it's a 4.
Right.
That's as simple as
For
it is. It's done all
encumbrance.
the math for you for your
Right.
encumbrance value after adding all of those pieces of armor together. But that really illustrates like what you can do and mix and match and the benefits of this instead of just like trudging around in a full suit of plate mail.
Right.
You're stuck with it. Hit locations. So hit locations already exist in Zweihander.
Right.
And you've taken that and just kind of built on it, right?
Yeah, I mean the only two options here are either you're not using hit locations at all, or there's a very popular game that a lot of people have played related to Zweihander that they normally just flip the attack roll. If you rolled a 42, now it's a 24 for your location.
Yeah.
If you're used to that, you like that, you can use that. Or the Zweihander way, you take that ones digit.
Right.
And whatever that is on your attack roll, there's no separate roll to see where you hit. If you roll that.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, this is where there might be misconception that it adds more rules or rolls to the game, and it doesn't, because it's just taking your attack roll that you're rolling regardless when you make it. And you flip that digit, or you take the tens digit, or whatever it is, or the ones digit, and that tells you where you hit them. So it's not adding any extra rolls whatsoever to your game. Streamlined. Super streamlined. It's slick.
Yeah.
Called shots, that already exists in the game.
Right. That's just a rehash of what that is. Yep. And see, that's really, I mean, I think when people normally play called shots, really you're spending that extra AP so that someone can't dodge or parry it. You hardly ever say, okay, well, I'm going to do a called shot to the leg or to the head. That's very rare. When you switch over to piecemeal armor, it's, again, you don't have to use this option whatsoever. But there's some creatures that you need to hit them in the head. There's some, some things have weaknesses, or even if someone doesn't have armor on, you might want to use that called shot. And it's a very more valuable commodity now, an option once you start using piecemeal armor.
Exactly. Revised damage threshold chart. We'll get to that. So you have examples of creatures on there?
Yeah. Just everyone's not, 2 arms and 2 legs.
Right.
So this is just an example to use, as you can see, if something has wings, no body, multiple legs, whatever it may be.
You're taken care of. It's covered in this supplement. The next table, though, is what most people are going to use, and that's the 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head, bipedal
right.
enemies.
Hopefully most playing characters. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and most enemies, really, for the most part. And this is the chart, and this is also will be like the last page we look at in a chart, usable chart for the playing character. This is, you have to figure out, the normal character sheet, you have 1 damage threshold. That's not going to work. So we have to come up with something. So, I mean, there's really a couple of different ways. There's a sheet in the end of the book that you can copy off and use that. Or, if it's a case where, hey, I got all the same armor except on my chest. Okay, well, then use, the normal damage threshold sheet on your character sheet for that, and then just call out chest. So, this is where in the beginning, initially, you're going to have to do a little more bookkeeping, but still, your brawn bonus, if you have a 4, and if you're wearing mail everywhere, that's a 3. So your damage threshold is a 7. So maybe on your chest, you have, plate. So that I think, and I'm going to guess at the number wrong. That's going to be a couple more in your damage threshold.
Theoretically,
Right.
Yeah, so it's cool. Like anything, at first it's going to take a little bit of getting used to, and then it'll become second nature after a couple sessions.
Right, for sure.
Cool. The next tables are what we were talking about earlier, were how much it costs for each individual pieces of armor by type, by body part. This is where he's worked out the numbers. So I didn't look it up because I was going to ask you. So if you were to buy quilted armor in the game, is it 11 gold? I'm assuming it is, and you've just priced it out individually, piece by piece.
Right, yeah. Yeah, no, all these numbers are all the numbers, all the encumbrance, everything on there is from the game.
Right.
You
You
know,
just
so
broke it out
there's
in great
nothing. Yeah,
detail.
yeah, right.
So every
So
type of armor that exists in the game is in here,
including main gouge, yes,
including main
yeah. So
gouge,
both books, it covers all the armor that's in the game.
main gochi.
Yeah,
So again, if you like tables, you like detail, you like more information, this right here is one of the reasons to pick this up. I think it's that's one of the things that makes it, at least for me, that I dig that. I think that's cool. Here,
yeah. I mean, I love tables, but
I do
that's
too,
obvious.
but not everybody does.
No, not everybody does, for sure. Not everyone's cup of tea, for sure.
Here we have a little diagram with the
Right,
numbers also. That was the same thing as the table above. Whatever you rolled, it'll tell you where you hit on the
right.
body. Do you want to address why one of the arms has a greater chance than the other?
Well,
It came up
in
recently.
yes, in Zweihander, if you look at the optional combat rules, I think I even reference it. Maybe it's page 374 in the core book. When they break down piecemeal armor, uh, they break down arms or three numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, you're rolling a die, so we don't have a 0.5 anywhere. So the logic was, to me, your primary arm is the one that's going to be out the most because
Right.
that's what you're going to be attacking with. Now that might be the right, it might be the left. That's someone's got you have to write that down, whatever your primary is.
Exactly.
So, and that's the whole reasoning behind this. Head was one number, your arms were three, so
Yeah.
your primary is going to get two, and
And
then
then
your body's four more numbers, and each leg's one number. So,
right.
it was basically following right along with the core book. So we're not changing any rules.
No.
If you are a rules is written type group, which my group is really close to rules is written, they don't like to, well, how about this? Well, how about that? No, look in the book. This is right from the book.
Exactly. So if you're a visual person, you got this. I'm trying to point to the camera, or you
Yeah.
got a chart. Armor tracking condition. You provide multiple options on how to track the condition, the state of your armor.
Yeah. Right. We did put an option in here that we obviously you can just do it as the rules, but we put an option in here that armor can take damage.
Right.
A lot of games do that. A lot of people like that. We try to just keep it pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's basically going to be your armor's good, your armor has taken damage, which that's the new quality. And then your armor is ruined, just like the book is.
That's out
and
of the book.
Right. And then beyond that, your armor is destroyed to where you haven't repaired it. It's been beaten so badly that it's basically falling off of your body.
Right.
And this all basically, really, not to get into it, but it basically works on injuries. If something hits you so bad that you take an injury, that's going to wear that one piece of armor down one level. So,
and again, as mentioned earlier, like if you don't want to implement this, you don't have to. It's all optional. This isn't, one and done. You have to take everything in this book to use it. So if you don't like that and you're like, oh, I just want to keep it the way it is, where armor really never gets hurt unless it's spelled out by a trait or talent or something like that, some sort of ability that a creature has, then you don't have to. You can just forget it. You had a new quality here, dangerous, like you mentioned earlier, as we were going over the three different types.
Yeah, I mean that's a quality that's in the book, but it's usually when you wear armor that you don't have that quality of dangerous, and that's the ability that you would bleed. You can take more damage. The damage threshold goes down in the armor, and now you can still bleed. So
the deadly bleed.
The deadly bleed. Yeah. So
it is. It's not an exaggeration.
Yeah. So tradecraft and craftsmen are a little more valuable now. You need to take care of your equipment if that's the option you want to do.
Someone will actually take some, a point in tradecraft? What? Nobody ever does.
I know, but no.
A focus in tradecraft? No, never. So drawbacks. So you have all the drawbacks from the book plus new ones that you've created in here.
15 new ones.
15 new drawbacks to add to your game.
Yeah.
Again, more bang for your buck. This isn't just a regurgitation of what you get in the Zweihander core book. So everything that has a red asterisk, so like bum leg here, is a new drawback that Jeff's created for this supplement. If
Yeah.
wearing armor, the heavy quality encumbrance points are doubled for the purpose of determining overage. I guess you get hit in the leg and you're kind of dragging it. Is that what that's supposed to?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Cat got your tongue. So yes, lots more options for drawbacks in. Hey, Dunderhead, Bill, it's your character. It's Erg.
Yeah. And so all of these are basically coming off of grievous injuries. So just wanted to have there be more options, especially since now there's a lot more tables, and I thought it would be really cool if gunpowder weapons kind of done these types of injuries, and crushing weapons done these types of injuries. So really what we've done here is kind of depending on the weapon that's doing this damage are the types of injuries. It's not just a dart thrown at the wall to where these fall. At least try to, logically as best as you could put it to the type of damage that you're taking. Is the type of some possible drawbacks. If you take a grievous injury and you don't get it surgery or taken care of, you get a drawback.
Right.
Which is rules as written, but
Yeah.
we just added more drawbacks, more options, more.
I like more
It's
options.
just exactly.
I'm a big fan of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Are there any you want to point out in particular that you are proud of, or?
Well, no. There's a couple that I like, and I think I like them just because they're very different from what was there. And let me try to think of. We got uncontrolled retching. That was one of the ones that I really like. Yeah, which is going to be you're taking an abdominal, injury, and basically is you can't hold down food and water very well, and over a very quick period of time, your body type goes down one level. If you were husky, now you become standard
cool.
size.
Right.
So it's not it's not the end of the world, but there's going to be inopportune times that you might be heaving up over in the corner, and that was one of the ones
Fun
that
stuff
I
for
liked.
the GM. Things are looking grim, and buddy's in a corner throwing up.
Yeah,
that's cool. Determining injuries.
Yeah, that's
same
all.
As Zweihander. That doesn't change.
Yeah, exactly. Some of this stuff, some of it just made sense to go ahead and include in this book, so that you can do all of it right out of this book. You don't have to. Oh, let me get my core book. Let me take a look. So basically, combat and injuries is basically all right here in one spot.
Right. You don't have to jump back to the book to reference it if you're already in here looking
right.
things
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Same with treat injuries, surgery. That's all from the book.
Yeah, that's just right from the book. Yep.
Recuperation time. All right, I love this one picture of Ken's. This is just like it's like
I know.
Awesome.
I
see a story in my head playing out with these two warriors fighting through this on the other side of this arch.
And we'll see them again later in the book.
Oh,
those two guys.
I didn't even pick up on that.
Oh yeah. No, we'll see them again.
Oh, cool. All right, so here's where we get to the tables. Here's this is the meat and potatoes. This is what everybody buys it for. I'd say are these injury tables by weapon type, by location. So first up, we have bladed weapon injuries to the head, and you've broken it out by moderate, serious, and grievous. So again, you're just rolling. Right. Is this your D6 that you're rolling to determine the injury? Or
exactly.
Are you using that then? So again, you're not using any additional rolls. You're rolling that D6. Or no, I guess you got to get a 6 to get an injury. So you are doing an additional roll here once you've determined you've triggered an injury.
Right. Yeah. Instead of because we went from, like I said, 36 injuries to 288 injuries, and so it got broke down per part per weapon, and the number came up. Well, we're going to do 6 for each one. And so to me, it was just easier. In Zweihander, we basically use 2 dice. You're either picking up a 10 or a 6.
Yep.
So if we have a bunch of tables of 6, there's no reason to really put it in a percentile. Let's just roll that 6-sided dice, and then here we go.
You rolled it
Yeah,
anyways to determine if you caused an injury, right? You've already got it in your hand if you're playing at a
right,
physical table, right?
right,
Or you've just
right,
clicked it as a macro on a
right.
virtual tabletop. So just click it again
Yeah.
and roll that same die again. It makes sense. Makes sense. You're not overcomplicating anything.
No, this is just your injury roll. They rolled their chaos die. Yes, I've done an injury. So now you come here, you roll one die, and then you have what injury it is. Just like you've done before. You're going
Right.
to make one die roll to figure out what the injury is.
Exactly. Is there anything you want to jump and point out or get into on any of these tables? Just stop me. Just say, "Hey, I really like this," or "The idea I had
Right.
behind this was because of that."
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is a lot of these tables we tried to cover because, like, okay, so moderate injury to the head. These are
Mm-hmm.
your lesser injuries. They're going to be very minor,
Yes.
but we try to cover all the aspects of the head, and we definitely are not going to read many of these whatsoever. But so like the first one, haircut or helmet ding, grazed cheek, grazed brow, ripped out earring or cut lobe, uh, beard trim or chin cut, and helmet bash. So the point on all of these is you're trying to cover every area, uh, every possible spot. They're not 4 eye injuries
Yeah.
on the moderate injury table.
No.
I mean, on the head, right? It's a very small area,
Yeah.
but we're still trying to space it out. So there's okay, we're going from the neck to the top of the head. So let's,
Six distinct
right,
different areas of
exactly.
injury. Yeah.
Right, and that goes for each one. The moderate, you're covering, and so um, that was just a big thing to break it up because when you look at the other injury tables, which are great, really cool descriptive injury tables in
Mm-hmm.
the main book, but you know, there might be 2 to the head. You know, it,
Yeah.
when you start breaking it down into the options, and you play for any amount of time, it's going to be a lot of the same injury coming up over and over and over,
We've seen that.
and that's okay. But I mean, hopefully here, it's going to be something new. It should be something new just about every single time you do an injury. And
No,
so I mean,
exactly.
in that, and overall these might be because we're really opening up that curve of what can happen. Overall, they might be a hair less, what's the right word, deadly or traumatic, but they're still
I don't
uh
know, Jeff.
well, I
I was
know.
gonna say
I mean,
these. Well, I
the
know it's the
groups.
head, so the head is always gonna. It's harder to hit, so you're gonna do more damage. It's gonna be more deadly.
Yeah,
But
the head,
look at these serious injuries. They're pretty
yeah.
rough. Can't use
Well, it,
reactions. Flip to
that
fail a
was that was
test.
yeah, that
Cannot
was
use
the other.
special actions.
Yeah, that was. I mean, the point was, and I don't fight with weapons, and I've never been stabbed or killed, whatever myself. But just trying to, from books and movies and common sense, um, a lot of the point was if you're hitting the head and you're hitting the body, there's a way better chance that it's going to take you out. That's
Right.
where all your vital organs are.
Yeah. I
So
agree. And it's
you
harder.
know,
You're taking a gamble, right? At that
right,
-30, that arduous to hit it the head.
right,
If you're aiming
right.
for it specifically,
Yeah.
and
So no,
it should pay off.
yeah, the head ones are pretty brutal right down the line,
Yes.
and um, depending on the weapon types, some of them, get into. Um, there's a couple of things I like to hit. I don't want to rush over it, but don't want to take forever and a day to look at these. A lot of your arm injuries are going to affect skills and attacking. A lot of your leg injuries are going to go to movement. So there's some, hopefully, I like to think, some common sense here where it might even be you take an injury to the leg and it's actually going to, there might be something called out there, but then there's another table that is going to lower your movement rate if you
Right.
take an injury in your leg. Couple of the other things that I'd like to just are new and I think are pretty cool, even though if it happens to you, you probably wouldn't think it's very cool. Um, on the the missile fire, which would be bows and crossbows.
Yep.
There's a lot of them that will have a mark on them.
As I'm getting there, sorry, I'm just show the
No,
people that I'm going through. Okay,
yeah,
so we got blade weapons for every part of the body. We get into crushing
right,
and brawling injuries, um, gunpowder weapon injuries. Like it's all covered.
right.
Missile, so arrows. So where do we want
Yeah,
to go on the missile?
well, yeah. I mean, we can. I'm kind of jumping ahead, but on the missile tables, you'll see some of them have a almost like a triangle symbol.
Yeah, here I'll
Well,
zoom in on the.
yeah,
Be able to see it there.
that means that the arrow is still lodged in you.
Ah,
So it might be there's some that some of them like in the arm where your arm is pinned to your body, the arrow is still there. Arrow might go in your wrist and it's sticking out the end of your elbow. So uh, in the gunpowders, there's some things like that too, where that bullet is still, it might be lodged in your neck, and
is that
that's
represented by the wheel? Yeah, there it is.
yeah,
The
yeah.
little wheel
And
icon.
and it's more just for kind of a flavor tone story type thing, because in there, and it says if you know as part of the heal skill test, if
Mm-hmm.
someone, if they pass you, okay, then that means they get that arrow out of there. That's part of it, or they can get that bullet out of there. Now if they fail the heal test, now of course we're going to take some physical peril, because someone's trying to yank this arrow, out
So,
of your abdomen.
so
So
chance for
hopefully,
infection as well. I guess if you fail your
um,
test,
yeah,
you
right. If
heal
you
them,
fail the
then
heal test,
you
yeah,
get critically fail, then infection
right,
sets in.
yeah,
That's cool. I was gonna ask you what those symbols meant because it didn't jump out to me right away when I was reading through it. So
yeah.
that
At
means
the
that it's
beginning,
lodged in there.
yeah, at the beginning of the gunpowder tables, and at the beginning of the missile tables, uh, like right here at the missile one, a triangle symbol means the missile is still lodged in place. A successful heal test will remove the missile, 1 penalty to the victim. A failed heal test will result in the missile being removed, but the patient will suffer 1d10 physical peril. A critical failure of the same, the patient will suffer 2d10 physical peril. Uh, and then it just goes on to say if the injury is grievous, then that's part of the surgery role. So
There you go. You're not wrong. So I like that as a GM, but yes, I can see players if it happens to them, they're not going
they
to be a
might
big
not, but
big fan.
it's just another part of that story. You know, I don't know. And if things go well, it's still a cool thing for the player, because they could say, well, yeah, you won't believe this. I had this arrow, stuck through my neck, but the healer Joe took care of me, and so it's still, it's just part of that story. Hopefully,
Well, exactly.
part of that memory where you go, oh man, do you remember that one time when we were doing this? So
And nobody had the heal skill, and I needed someone to pull
right,
that arrow out of my neck.
right, yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of roles, a lot of mechanics, a lot of tables in this, but equally is the ability to tell the story in combat,
Hmm.
or at least that's what I tried to put out there. And that's why you can take different injuries in different areas. That's why it might affect your movement. It'll affect your attacks. It'll affect what these things, still being stuck in you.
Yeah,
So hopefully that helps tell a pretty cool story
I
at the end of
agree.
the day.
Let's go to the tables here. Slain. Oh, here's the two guys.
Yeah, see, there's our two guys again.
One was the
And
victor,
yeah,
and the other was run through.
yeah. And
So,
right
go
on
ahead.
that same page, right
Hmm.
above those two, is a movement table. And when you take just like it says, movement adjustment table for leg injuries. So depending on your movement, what injury you took, that it's going to slow you down, or that's an option. Someone doesn't want to
Right.
mess with people's movement, well then don't, just
Yeah.
ignore the table.
Again, all
But
optional, but yeah, it's by
yeah,
type of weapon: bladed, crushing,
right,
gunpowder, missile. It's all up there. Where they took the hit, or by the type of weapon, to the
right,
leg. the severity of the injury and what
Right.
their movement was to start with and what it now goes to
Right.
based off the type of weapon the
Yeah.
injury.
Right. And there's, not that it really matters, but there's math behind all those numbers. That's not just pulled out of a hat. So, it's, I think it's another cool option of realism if
Mm-hmm.
someone wants it. You know. Um,
I agree. It may not be one person's cup of tea and someone else going, I wanted this in the game. Why was this
right.
not in here? I've been begging
Right.
for it.
Right. Right. Yeah. If you took some major crushing blow to your knee that has you a grievous injury or a serious injury, why am I running just as fast as the guy who's full?
Yeah,
It
right?
didn't take an injury. So it's just how you want to run your game is really all it is.
Exactly.
Um,
The next page has upgraded armor for foes, so not just the PCs get all the good stuff. The NPC or the GM and his NPCs also get the upgraded armor and damage thresholds and modifiers and all that. And you provide that in here for all the GMs.
yeah, I mean, hopefully that was just a quick table. You make, really, I think, geez, it's one roll or two rolls, and then you have, of course, you can pick whatever you want. But if you just come, with a random person, okay, we're going to upgrade this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I think if you're using it for your playing characters, then it would be cool to throw it in there for what makes sense is your NPCs or something like that.
Yeah.
Just
Even
and
if not like boss ones or major ones, you can
exactly
use this. You don't have to use it on
right,
every little grunt and
right,
groan that you come across.
right, and this is just another way of getting people to think a little more outside the box, uh, getting them to use those called shots, maybe hopefully getting a little more theory and a little more party uh, conversations going on in your fights, because we've had this conversation before where Zweihander really isn't designed just for you to just one guy swing whack, the other guy swing and whack. I mean, there's a lot, if you want to, there's a lot of tactics that can go into it, and I think this is just another way to get the players thinking a little more, um, that if the boss guy has something heavy on his body or on his head, maybe we need to try to attack him here to get
Yeah,
that damage. We keep doing,
take out a
I
leg.
can only do 7 or 8 points, and it takes an 11 or 12 to get him. Okay, well then let's think about this. Let's hit
Mm-hmm.
him in the lower armored areas.
Yeah,
It's just another way to get people
more
into the
realism.
fight more. Yeah, exactly. Right. All about realism for sure.
After that, you provide a new character sheet per se, not really a character sheet, but a tracking sheet for inventory, encumbrance, and
Yeah.
armor. So
Right. Right.
this isn't gonna all fit on the existing Zweihander character sheet. So
Right.
there's one in here for you if you want to put this in your game, or you want to track every little thing that you've listed in here. You've
Right.
given them an option; they don't have to create
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, because this really started out. This was actually the first thing that I ever wrote for Zweihander, and I basically wrote this for my group because everyone was freaking out about the encumbrance system, and they didn't want to be slowed down. They didn't want their initiative penalized. They didn't want their movement penalized, and so there's an option in the book. You can do encumbrance by tracking slots where things are worn. So that's really what this is. This is really an encumbrance sheet, but then it's been switched and modified to go ahead and handle all of the armor. And just to me, it's just an easy way of keeping track of all the equipment that you have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it depends. Some people really like that. Some people don't care. But if it's something that you want to know, some GMs are like, well, wait a second, you know, that rope was in your pack, not on your belt.
Yeah,
And if we're going to that level, then you can say, well, hey, this is exactly where everything is on my character sheet. Again, it's another
toss it across
realism.
the table to the GM.
Right, right, right. So,
Stuff it, GM.
yeah.
This is where it is. This is what I'm carrying.
Yeah, and I'm hoping, if enough people get into piecemeal armor, there's a big push on Roll20 to have new character sheet, all this stuff added to it. I'm hoping enough people jump on this bandwagon and make some noise, and then boom, we get piecemeal armor worked into the
Wouldn't that be something?
character sheet on Roll20. That'd be great, but maybe I'm just, it's a thought.
That would be something. Just add another page to it and track all that on there. It's all on there.
Yeah.
It can do all the math on the back
Oh,
end.
it can do all. Yeah, exactly. It can do all this, no problem whatsoever. But sitting around the table, the sheet right here should work out fine.
There you go. We'll just like do it. Add another page.
Yeah, I know. Well, it would be nice. That's for sure.
So that takes us to the end of the book. We have
Yeah.
quite a few people here in the chat. Does anybody have any questions for Jeff about the supplement that they want to ask? Any questions
Yeah.
in general they want to ask either
Yeah.
of us?
You know,
About the Zweihander and the games and
yeah, for sure. Because the big thing, and like we had talked, Matt, the big thing was there was a lot, not a lot, but there was some discussion on the Discord about, and we said it at the beginning of this making things more complex. And I think what it comes down to is if you want different options to use in combat, here are some options that you can use. And that should be what's the GM think, what's the players think. Hopefully, we're working in those type of groups where everyone wants it or no one wants it, and that's what we do. We use it or we don't use it. But then, really, if there's nothing you're going to use in this book, if you just use the injury tables, you don't even have to use the piecemeal armor tables. I mean, we can really get this down to the most simplistic way that's still going to add a huge amount of detail to your game.
Yeah.
All you're going to do is you take your attack roll, 52. Okay, 2. I hit him in the right arm. Yep. I know that. It's the right arm. Okay, now if you happen to do an injury, then you go to the chart and you say, okay, I hit him with my sword in the arm. I already know that. It's a serious injury. I roll a 6-sided die. I look at my serious injury on the arm for a sword. There's my injury.
Yeah.
I mean,
like I said, for the injury tables alone, I think it's worth it. If you don't want to do any of that other stuff as a GM and as a group, you think it's too much bookkeeping or whatever, for whatever reason.
Right.
The location and injury tables by weapon type are awesome. They're so good. I love stuff like that in any game.
Yeah.
More options for more rolls and more tables. I'll take it all day long. But Daniel,
sure.
Daniel said in the chat, tell us what games Leather, Steel, Blood, and Bone will be in. Any hints?
Oh, tell us what games are going to be
Daniel who's asking. We type with the same moniker on there, so you never know which one of us is talking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not really sure where we're going with that question because
you don't know how much you can say.
Yeah. There is talk though that there are going to at least part of it, the basis of some other combat and some other games that just might be happen to be powered by Zweihander are going to at least use the influence. I don't know to what degree of this. So I think it's to the point of where you're going to have those options to be very detailed if you want. Yeah, Ken's true all the way. Those guys have to, because and this is really the first official supplement by Terrible Worm, which I haven't said that, and I should have said that, which is myself and Adam Rose and Ken DeKay, and they usually have to. Now when we're reviewing things, it's like, okay, I know I went overboard. There's a lot of math and a lot of options here, and so they usually have to reel me in on all that stuff because I love tables, I love math, I love a lot of options, and and that's one of the good things I think about this book is, and we've hit it though. It's not a use it or don't use it. There's a lot of things that you can put together that I think any group could, or any group that has been playing it for a while. Zweihander's, I wouldn't say it's a super crunchy game, but there's enough details to keep everyone busy and keep the books on the table. So
Yep.
I think, when people get a grasp of just the basic concept of combat with perilous stunts and attacks, then I think it's time, if people are ready for it, then you go even one more level higher on the combat.
Yep.
And you know, I mean, it's another one of those things where I stream with you all the time,
Yeah.
Matt, and when the players are in it and you're doing it, yeah, you're having a good time, you're laughing, okay, cool, but then and I know you have to think of, okay, well, what's the viewer thinking? And the more dynamic that you can get, and the more that you can get your players into it, it's an infectious thing when people are really into it, really laughing,
Yeah.
screaming at good
It,
rolls,
it
when
just
really good, because if I
adds
hit and I
more
do
flavor.
10 points of damage and it looks hurt, uh, that's boring. Sorry, it's boring. But when you hit them here and you do this injury, and now they can't swing as hard, or they're taking, okay, now it becomes a story that
Hmm.
I think everyone can really get into. And Zweihander was built for that, to tell the story in combat, and I think that this just adds another level if people want to go there.
I agree. I've
You
I've
know,
also asked. I've also talked to Jeff about implementing it into the thing I haven't announced yet that I'm working on. So you'll see it in there too when it eventually gets announced. It's gonna be the right time, the right place. But yeah, you'll also see it in another project that I'm working on tied to Zweihander. So
yeah,
cool stuff. Any more bang bang? Any more questions from the chat? If not, I have a question for Jeff.
yeah,
It's kind of off topic, but it's also something else Jeff wrote. So Jeff also wrote The Dark Below Odessa, the dark astral adventure
yeah.
that we've been playing the last few weeks here on this time slot on the channel. And
Yeah.
so I want to get your takes, your thoughts on how that played out, because I know when you wrote it, I am sure you did not envision or think things were going to go the way they did in our playthrough of the Dark Below Odessa, or Odessa as I called it, and
Yeah.
Odessa.
Odessa. Well, no, yeah, that was kind of a surprise, and I definitely did not expect PvP to be a part of that adventure.
Session
But
one.
yeah, yeah. That adventure was a lot of fun though to write. I originally, it was kind of on its own thing, and then talking to Adam and some other key people, we kind of brought it into the campaign seed for Dark Astral. And then it really got interesting because when you're writing to something specific, you can, get a little more detail, do a little more research, and put something together. And, I hope, my point with that adventure is I usually typically don't even run store bought adventures. That's
Mm-hmm.
just me. I usually write everything I do. So when I was going to write this, it's like, okay, if people are going to spend some money, they damn well better get something out of it,
Yeah.
So and that was the whole point of writing it in two different. You had a gather party and you have an assault party, and you guys played the gather party, but you could go through that again, even with the same players, with different
Yes.
characters, and even the same players wouldn't know exactly what's going on.
It is a different
There's
experience. I
different missions.
yeah.
There's definitely different, way more fighting, less stress type things with an assault. And
There's so I threw a tyrant at the players just to try and get them to stop
yes,
attacking each other. There's no
yeah,
tyrant, Skurzak tyrant in the one we
right.
played,
The
the Gather.
gather, right,
And I was just like,
right,
oh, I want to get in the action. I want to fight, because I'm just sitting there watching them fight each other. I'm like, oh, I'm
yeah,
gonna try and band them together. The biggest, baddest thing that's in this adventure
right.
for a creature.
Right. And
So
yeah, which exactly in most cases, right. How do you get people to work together? You make a bigger evil cause, which
yeah,
is what you did. And it was like, nah, that's all right.
yeah.
They kill that in a couple of turns and then go back to each other. So no, yeah, I didn't expect that at all. But hey, I think every GM will say, uh, you know, that players are always going to do something unexpected. I think in the end,
Mona says Dog Birdman, Qatar, Prince of
Yeah,
Witchstone. There you
I
go.
know. It was like crazy stuff going on there.
He said he had
But
to buy the adventure just to see how it was really supposed to play out.
oh well, yeah, it probably a little different, huh? Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I hope there's enough options in there that people can go through it a couple of different times, and I mean that was the goal. Just to people are going to buy it, make it worth their while.
There's hooks in there to keep it going after that as well. That you've got at the end of it. You've introduced sort of an alternate. Well, I don't know about an alternate, but a beefier experience system too, where instead of just 100 procession as your baseline, you also break it out. Here's your 100, and if you did X, you get another additional 10. If you did Y, you get another 20 for this. So there's additional options there. There's bad guys I don't think we even fought or saw. There's those little tokens or cutouts. We used them on our virtual board. Ken designed
awesome.
all of those
yes,
little tokens.
Those were.
You can play with those at home. You can cut them out of your book if you want, or if you buy the digital copy, you can do what I did and just create tokens within Drive-Thru RPG, or not Drive-Thru RPG, within Roll20 to use within your game. Those are really cool. What else is there? There was random encounters. I didn't need to put in the random encounters at all because those guys kept each other busy enough.
I was gonna say I was kind of surprised at how quick you guys got down there, but I'm glad that it did go that way. But I think there's enough random stuff that I think you could take a session or two just traveling down there.
Yes.
But I think once you saw how things were going, it's like, okay, let's get these guys focused.
That's a good point, though. I fast tracked the travel to the actual Odessa,
to the Ark,
Ark
to the
itself,
ship,
and I used some of the tables you had there because you provide tables as well for encounters on the way down. But you're supposed to. It suggests that you use the travel rules within the Zweihander, but again, thinking of streaming, I was like, well, those aren't always the most exciting. So we just did some encounters, some role playing on the way down there. But if you're running at home or you're running for your group online, there is the option there to use the travel rules in addition to those tables, or I've slotted in random events.
Yeah. More tables are always good,
right?
I think people like rolling on tables, or at least that's the theory that I'm going to hold true to.
I was almost tempted to do the director's commentary with you. The two of us sit there and talk through the adventure as the players play through it. But we'd have two sessions of just PvP. Where there's nothing to talk about.
That was crazy, but hey, in the end it worked out really good, truthfully. I think they actually got focused and okay, what are we doing? Let's go take care of business, and it worked out. It worked out really good.
It did in the end. It can be used for Dark Astral as well. There's no reason why you couldn't. I didn't use it for Dark Astral. I haven't started using it in my Zweihander game yet, but you'll see it in our Sunday games. It'll start to be implemented. Hopefully this Sunday we'll start having leather, steel, blood, and bone in there.
Yeah. And, and the truth is, if, Dark Astral is a really cool little chat book, and I think it's really sparked some interest from a lot of people. I think a lot to the point of worth it being expanded. So, if people are working on that and expanding it, there's no reason that, I wouldn't, or, we wouldn't take a trip back to some injury tables and, make them for some different weapon types also. I mean, I agree with you. You can use it as is. There's a gunpowder thing in there, which would cover, the main weapons, at least that you initially start off with, are ballistic pattern.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that ballistic pattern, that's just a regular round, normal gunfire. So a lot of it, at least initially, I think would just seamlessly work, no problems whatsoever. It's, when you get into some of that crazy plasma stuff and this and that, you might have to get a little creative.
That's when you need some new tables, Jeff. That's when you got to start creating laser and plasma and all that good stuff. You got to do a new supplement.
No, and it's I mean, I think people dig it, and it would be a lot of fun. And exactly, that's my favorite weapon out of all of them, is the plasma sword.
I bet you're so happy that someone picked the lock on that.
Oh, I know. I actually was. That was there was a couple of things in there. That was one of the things that I was really hoping someone got a hold of, and I'm glad Evan did. And that was really cool. And the other one, and I think it was at a time when things were real busy and you were just trying to focus on getting the mission done.
Shuffle them along.
Yeah, I know. There was another golem, or like robot
Yeah.
droid in the.
This-
It was a wolf,
oh,
and it
yeah.
was actually pretty tough. And if I guess I shouldn't give away too much, but all of those golems, there's at least some roles that you can control them if
You
someone
can
has the
take control of
right.
them.
Right.
Yes. Again, we got really off track in the game, and it was supposed to be maybe 2 sessions, turned into 3, and then 4, and then
Yeah,
4 even
yeah.
almost turned into 5.
I know.
So as the GM, I
Yeah.
had to make some executive decisions as we were playing. Like, we're gonna cut this. That's not gonna be there. Let's
Yeah.
move on. Let's do that. But yes, there's a lot more material in the adventure than what you guys saw on stream as well.
Yeah.
What's Oak saying? They're not dead. Dimmy's social media numbers went through the roof with the sword. Yeah. And that weird mutant
Yeah.
creature. I was surprised they killed that thing.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, I love the sword though. That was definitely cool. There's actually, if anyone has bought that, looked at, there's a lot of really cool things in Dark Astral. I mean, it's a nice little chat book. Tons of new weapons, which is,
you need that for this setting.
I'm all about you got to have it for this setting. I mean, you can investigate all you want, but combat's where it is. So
right. Yeah, Jeff plays enough of my games. I know he wants at least one combat a session.
yeah.
There's no combat. What was this? Why did we even get together?
Right. Yeah. I don't want to sit at the bar and talk. I'm sorry.
It's true.
Everyone's different. I'm not right. I just like combat. That's all. Yeah.
I like combat also. I like to put at least
sure.
one combat encounter in a mission, or the opportunity for it. People can bypass it,
Right,
talk their way out of it, whatever. But
for sure,
the option's there, like it's always there for the players who want it.
Well, exactly. And I think if all of us take a look and think for a second about what rules we go to when we get a new game, is character creation and combat rules.
Yeah.
So,
I don't disagree. Well, any other questions for Jeff? Any questions about Dark Below Edessa? No, Woda was watching it every week, and he's catching up on them.
Yeah, cool. Definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for supporting Jeff and all the products.
Definitely appreciate it, and there will definitely be. We have way too long of a list for Terrible Worm. That's myself and Adam Rose and Ken Duque. We have a lot of ideas that we. Too bad we all have day jobs, because we're gonna push some stuff out as quick as we can. But it's a lot more to come though. Is what I'll say.
Awesome, cool. All right. Well, if that's it, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate your time and appreciate you agreeing to do this, and being able to shine a spotlight on this really, really cool supplement for Zweihander.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on, Matt. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Hope everyone enjoyed that and at least got a little more, whoever was on the fence of, is this worth it, or is this for my group, or, how is this going to work out? Hopefully that this kind of, answered any questions that you had about the supplement.
Yeah, and, that was the whole purpose behind it was just to guys, it's cool. There's a lot of options. You don't have to use them all, and it's not complicated whatsoever. So awesome! All right, have a good night. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And tomorrow at 4:30 Central Standard Time, we have the return of Journey Pro Wrestling, playing Zweihander. So we have a combination of wrestlers from all sorts of different I was going to say divisions, companies playing in the games, and that's a very entertaining show. These people are entertainers for a living, so come watch them entertain you while they play Zweihander tomorrow night. And then Thursday, we got Amber, who's continuing her redesign of the Zweihander character sheet, and that is at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. And following her later that evening at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, we have the Lollygaggers or the Gaggers, as I affectionately call them. Jeff said last night it was okay to call them that. I played in a game with him on his channel last night, and he thinks it's hilarious, that nickname, but the rest of the Lollygaggers might not think it's that funny. But I have his blessing, and that's all I wanted. They're going to do the Ailing Isle tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. There he is. There's Jeff. Thank you. Gaggers.
There he is.
Tomorrow's going to be tomorrow, I'm sorry. Thursday is going to be the last episode of the Ailing Isle, like that storyline that they're currently in. And then they're going to go into something new after that. So you definitely want to tune in for the finale of that at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on Thursday. And then on Friday, we see the return of the Defenders of Kobold with their ongoing Zweihander game, the Bloody Marches. And that is at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time as well. And then I'm back with my ongoing, the longest running Zweihander game on the internet. Is at 9 p.m. Sunday nights, and that's the Left-Handed Path. We got to see what those guys are up to. They're demon summoning, murdering, killing bad people. It's an interesting campaign. They've definitely taken the Left-Handed Path and run down that path. They haven't looked back. So if you want to see a campaign that's turning into an evil campaign, not slowly but quickly, you want to watch Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Central.
Yeah, they're pushing the limits, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, no. They're past the limit. Come on now. Summoning demons? The first of many? It sounds like we've got other party members that want to summon demons and broker deals with them. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you again for joining us. Please join us tomorrow at 5:30 Central for Journey Pro and Zweihander.